The concept for this series is simple. What would happen if you took a vanilla Minecraft player and gave them all the mods to play with? Would they thrive in this beautiful and complex world? Or would it be simply too much for them to handle? Welcome to All the Mods 9. Hey everyone, my name is KryptoCal, and welcome back to the next episode of welcome back to the next episode of All the Mods 9. All the Mods 9.
All the Mods 9.
I still know how to do this. All the nods mine. Yeah, it's been a while. Grace went away. We kind of had a bit of a break from playing on the world, and now we're back. So we've done a little bit in between episodes. It's been, I guess, a couple weeks now. So I guess we'll catch you up on everything that we've done since the last episode. Why don't I let you take them on the tour of what you have been up to?
Sure. Well, I expanded the path a little bit because we need to finish that, and we haven't been really paying attention to it. I carried it across towards my side of the ravine and started connecting up these new little houses I've been building. They're not done yet, obviously, and don't view this one from too close. Privacy is not an issue on this world, it's fine. I built these little townhomes. They're inspired by a little place I saw a couple years ago, and I really liked the look of it. I gotta continue building them up and continue the roadway all the way up to the apiary, but that's gonna be a lot of terraforming.
Speaking of terraforming, that's what I've been doing over here. This path I had up to the castle used to just curl around here and end right at the bottom here, so there was not really a way up to the castle. But now I've started extending this path, and it's quite a steep path. I think I'm going to put some trees in here to kind of hide that harsh edge, but it gets the job done. And now I actually have a spot where the path can connect up and get up to the layer where the castle is. Now, I also have been working on the castle a little bit. I've started adding in these small supports that kind of branch off of all these main towers, and I think it does help break up the large chonky boy right in the middle. I think it's a decent addition. There's still some more playing I'm going to do with it. It's been a lot of progress in this thing, but I overall think I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, some things I would have done a little differently here and there, but for the most part, I think it's pretty awesome. Inside, I've been doing a little bit of prep for what we're going to be doing in today's episode. I finished off this last wing where this other tower is, and this is where we're actually going to put some PneumaticCraft stuff today. That is one of the last things that we actually have to get into before we have all the stuff for the star. All the other stuff here is just a matter of really crafting it all together. It was just a matter of waiting for some of these resources before, but now we have all the stuff we need for the dimensional seed. Apart from that, all we're missing is the Patrick star, which is really easy. All we have to do is set up a create system for this. We still have to get into applied energistics to get the quantum ring, and we also have to get a couple more of these micro missiles from PneumaticCraft. This entire thing is made inside of the pressure chamber, which has to be at 4.9 bar pressure. So we're going to have to try and see if we can get that going today. The micro missiles require us to have a couple more things as well. We have to have a finished PCB for these, which involves crafting a couple of these resources together with the unassembled PCB. So this is going to be something we have to dive into today. But to start off, we have to get the beginning setup, which just involves having a pressure chamber. The pressure chamber is how pretty much everything in PneumaticCraft is made, and it is another multi-block. So we're going to have to get a couple of these pressure chamber components. We have to get the walls, the ports, etc, etc. But you're all familiar with multi-blocks, you know how this goes. But I think we're going to get all this stuff on AutoCraft, so we can go ahead and set all this up right over here. I think this should be just enough space. Now, unlike some mods that use energy or use other methods of crafting, PneumaticCraft has a very unique system that involves using air pressure. Air pressure can be created by using what's called air compressors. So the basic air compressor uses solid fuel to burn and create the pressure. So that's probably what we're going to be using for most of this, because it's pretty straightforward to set up. There are different versions of compressors. If we come and take a look at compressor, you can see there's some for liquid fuel. You can also get some advanced ones that use energy. The pressure chamber walls just involve using some of these reinforced bricks, which are just compressed iron and stone. Let me do a little demonstration of how you would go about getting normal compressed iron. Place down this tiny TNT with some iron beside it, and if we just use a flint and steel on it, this should explode and turn into compressed iron. Now, it's not 100% drop rate, so you will actually lose a little bit of iron when you do this. And you can also do this with blocks, I believe. Yep, that worked. So there's basically 4 different pressure chamber things that we're going to need. There's the walls. There is the pressure chamber valve. The valves are actually how you insert air into the pressure chamber. So we're gonna need at least a couple of these. The pressure chamber interface is how you send items to and from the pressure chamber. We're also going to put on the air compressor on AutoCraft. Now, we already have a couple of these, so we might not actually need to make too many more of them, but I will make sure that we have it on AutoCraft just in case. Now, some things that are very important for PneumaticCraft are going to be these speed upgrades and also these security upgrades. Because we're dealing with compressed air, there is a chance that if the air gets too compressed in the pipes, it can actually explode and blow up the pipes and also blocks around the pipes, which can be a big headache. What the security upgrade does, it actually allows you to vent extra air that would put it above a dangerous level. So basically it just keeps the whole thing safe. It doesn't let it explode if you have one of these installed in the machine. And the speed upgrades are very cheap. They just take lapis and sugar, and that's it. We should be all ready to get crafting this pressure chamber. And yes, some of you keen-eyed people may have noticed that I do have a bit of a different skin on, and that is because I decided to try and be an artist when I'm definitely not, and I wanted to give myself a little sweater because it's fall over here in Canada. It's getting a little chilly, so I thought maybe a little sweater would be nice.
I'm made of sweater, so I don't need to ever change my skin, ever. I am sweater. Fear me.
All right, so if you come into the quest line and take a look at the PneumaticCraft stuff, when we're actually building the pressure chamber, it says that we need to have a 5x5x5 to make the pulsating black hole. The smallest one you can make is a 3x3x3, but we have to make the one up from that. And we should have just enough space in here to actually make this. Yeah, we have just enough space to squeeze this in, just like that. And I think what we can do is just bring this up on all corners. Not sure if all of the faces can be glass or if only the walls can be, but let's just try and fill in all of the pressure chamber glass here. You're getting compressed, kiddo.
No, don't squeeze me.
All right, so we're gonna have to find a way to squeeze in a valve in here. So let's go ahead and grab our valve. Breaking machines like that is so uncivilized. I'm sorry.
You vandal.
So I added the valve here and it formed the multi-block. So this is a valid pressure chamber. So we're gonna have to have a couple other ports though. We're gonna need to have an interface on this side and then an interface on the other side. The blue is the input and the orange is the output. Now to start filling this whole thing up with air, we're going to put this down like this, and we're going to hook these together with some pipes. We're gonna make sure that we wanna give all of these a security upgrade so that they'll auto vent any extra air, and we'll also give these a few of these speed upgrades. If we go ahead and place some coal in each of these, we should see this start to fill with air. And
The
you see
pressure's going up.
the pressure is going up, albeit very slowly. That is the one thing about PneumaticCraft pressure chambers is once it's at its pressure, it tends to stay around that pressure all the time. It has to be 4.9 to craft the pulsating black hole.
Can something at a lower pressure be crafted at a higher pressure?
Yes, it's just that would be the minimum requirement.
Gotcha.
I'll give these a couple more. I'll give these 5 speed upgrades each. Barrel will go there, and then we'll just grab some integrated stuff. And this should just keep coal stocked in here manually for now. And I think these can even accept coal blocks. Can these take coal blocks? Yes, they can. Okay, cool. And that should last for a good long while. Once you have a pressure chamber, you can actually make things like compressed iron directly in here without having to use the TNT. The one thing that we have to keep in mind is you can't just throw items into the pressure chamber. You have to have it inserted using some sort of pipe or something. And this is a plug. If you haven't seen my previous video on the best ways to move items in modded Minecraft, go check it out because I basically just beamed about integrated dynamics for 5 minutes.
Oh, and check out the 1,000 sub video. We have an awesome epic build that we worked on for it. We put a lot of work into it. It's very pretty cool, I promise.
So let's just test this thing out really quick. If I put some iron in here, yeah, see, now the iron is going in to the pressure chamber.
There are problems.
No, there are not.
It says so.
Well, it needs to be at 2 bar. Well, to remedy that, I think what we can do is add a couple more of these bad boys.
It's getting there though. We're at 1.8 bar. This is very slow, but honestly, that's okay.
I'm cranking in speed upgrades now. I decided I'm gonna just max these out.
Oh.
There we go.
It's really oh, that's going fast.
Oh, see here? It's starting to vent now. Maybe that's too many. So the problem here is our interfaces are both set to import, and I'm not exactly sure how to fix that. Because currently this is an importing item face. To actually change this. Okay, there we go. So this is exporting crafted. We had to just I had to just wrench it around a little bit. So now this should be working okay. So the pressure chamber is kind of idling around 4.9 bars. So we're kind of right at the sweet spot where we want it, which is fantastic. So next up, PneumaticCraft wants you to get into oil and getting all the oil refinery stuff set up. However, the entire point of oil is to get to the point where you're making plastic. Normally, you have to get this because it requires to use the plastic from PneumaticCraft. But in this case, they actually allow you to use any plastic. So the industrial foregoing plastic also counts as a valid option. And we have no shortage of plastic from industrial foregoing. So we're going to make use of that instead of going through all of this. This way of getting plastic is a little more complicated, and I find the way from industrial foregoing is just a little bit more straightforward. Taking a look at these micro missiles, we're going to have to get a couple things here. Mainly the finished PCB, which requires this unassembled PCB, some transistors, and some capacitors. Now, the transistors are made in the pressure chamber, super easy. The capacitor, exact same thing, really easy. However, the unassembled PCB requires us to get into the assembly controller setup. I remembered that there was a villager trade, a pressure mechanic who uses the charging station as his job site, and the final trade, the master tier trade of the pressure mechanic, sells us finished PCBs.
You're kidding, really?
So
that's actually broken.
We're just going to load up on emeralds, buy as many as we can here. We only need to get enough to make the micro missiles, and it just takes 1 per. We have 7 micro missiles, so basically we just need 11 of these finished PCBs and we're all set. So all we have to do is craft up some of the micro missiles and then we're basically all set. And thankfully they don't stack, because why would I want any of this to stack? That would be horrible.
That would be so inconvenient, a real burden.
Let's see if we can clean a couple of these things up. The sigil of withdrawal, I believe this is a updated recipe. We actually have to use some of the new apotheosis stuff for this. But thankfully, this stuff is super cheap, just requiring a couple of lava buckets, basically, and we're all set. The last thing, besides the quantum ring, is this abyssal high flux RF coil. This is from the Thermal Extra mod, and it looks like it's made inside of the smithing table using a smithing template augment upgrade. I think the recipe that you see in JEI is broken. I think the one you have to use to upgrade is not the abyssal one, because how could you upgrade itself? You know, that doesn't make sense. I think the one you have to do is the dragon steel. Yeah, see, if you actually right click on the smithing template, it shows you the correct recipe. And so to make the dragon steel one, you have to make the shellite, which we should actually have the shellite stuff. We have plenty of shellite dust. So the shellite stuff takes the twinite, and the twinite stuff takes a soul infused. We're gonna have to start at the soul infused side and get ourselves working up from there. The problem is these are smithing table upgrades, so we're gonna have to make sure we have a lot of these smithing templates, the augment upgrades. We're gonna need a lot of Invar. Thankfully, we have Invar in our system already. We just have to make sure that we have it set to auto craft into the plates. Yeah, we have plenty of Invar. You set up the B for that, so we have hundreds of thousands of that stuff. Now, I do have some of these induction smelters that I filled out the last part of the room here with. What I'm actually going to do is change out one of these induction smelters, and I'm going to replace this with a multi-servo press. Because we don't actually have a way to get those plates automatically. Currently, we're just using the hammer to do that, which is fine. But if we're going to be making this many of them, I think having this automated might be a good plan. Let's place down our multi-servo press, and we can configure this to do everything we want it to do. And after a bunch of auto crafting later, we have everything we need, I think, to get all of this started. First thing we have to do is get the high flux coils here. We need 18 of these total, and then we have to start going up the list of upgrades. So we're going to need 18 of each of the gears. We are going to need a ton of the smithing template upgrades, basically 1 per, and then we have to do it a bunch of times. So I think we're going to get a couple stacks of these. It's just a matter of letting it go through the multi-servo press that we have automated now. It is running pretty quick, but it is still, you know, limited by its speed. Unfortunately, the thermal machines can't have their slots upgraded, so it doesn't do multiple steps at a time like the mechanism stuff does. You can't have everything be like mechanism. Gotta have a little bit of difference sometimes. We should be able to come in here, place everything inside, and there we go. Upgrade all of them to the soul infused high flux RF coil. And then we got to do that all over again with the Twinite gear. And I have all the gears that we need on AutoCraft here, so that shouldn't be a problem at all. All we should have to do is the last one here and get the abyssal high flux RF coil. Not too bad, just a lot of like micro crafting. After this, we have everything else already done. The only thing we're missing for the pulsating black hole is the ME quantum ring. And welcome back to our KryptoCal dimension, otherwise known as the Beyond dimension. This is where we're going to be setting up an applied energistics system, and going forward we're going to be making use of it a lot to do a lot more KryptoCal stuff in the future. But for now, what we're going to do is set up a couple ME systems over here to get our quantum ring. We are going to probably end up tearing a lot of it down and rebuilding it to be a much more polished, finished looking base. And we're going to definitely expand our base out in this dimension in the future. We just need to get a couple basic things for the quantum ring. And I figure it's just going to be an easier thing to do to set it up now and get it kind of polished up later. In order to get the couple things that we need to get a couple of these processors. We have to get the engineering and logic processors, one energy cell, and some of the Fluix dense smart cable. We have 1.2 million Certus quartz in our storage, and also 12.2 thousand Fluix crystal because RBs go unbelievably hard. So to get these processors, we're gonna have to get the inscribers. Now there are two inscribers here. There's the normal one from Applied Energistics and also the extended inscriber from Extended AE. We are going to just worry about the normal one for now, and all of these work without actually having to be in an Applied Energistics system. You don't actually have to have these hooked up to any channels or anything. They can kind of just work as is, which is really nice. Inside here, we'll see that we have our interface. We can have the stack size input up to 64 items. This didn't used to be like this in Applied Energistics. It used to be only one item at a time, and it was a little bit annoying. So this is actually really nice that it has this feature now. To get our logic processors, we're gonna have to first get these printed versions. And to get the printed circuits, we have to first get the presses. Now, these can actually be found inside of the meteorites that you would find around the world. You can also buy them from a villager if you have a Fluix researcher villager. Once you have a press, you can duplicate it inside of the inscriber using that press and then also an iron block, and that'll get you a duplicate in case you want to make multiples. Another really cool feature is there is a universal press, but of course you need to get a couple other things from this add-on mod here to get the universal press, so we might look at getting that in the future, but for now I think we'll stick with the normal presses. Now, do we have any from our explorations? I'm sure we must, right?
I found a couple meteorites that I broke apart.
If we take a look in here, we have some silicone. And by some, I mean 3.3 million. So we can actually put in the silicone press into our press slot, throw in the silicon, and this should start to work once we give it a little bit of power. And there it goes, charging up, and it creates the very first printed silicone. Now, this is auto exporting through any side, so we should be able to just do something like this and have it all auto export to the bottom. And to speed this whole thing up, we can craft up these things called acceleration cards, which are really, really cool. They do take some of these processors, but we're going to be making a bunch of these in the future, so we'll definitely be getting a lot of these cards. I want to make a couple more of these though, so let's go ahead and throw on a few more inscribers. All right, so let's go ahead and place in the calculation press in here, and this one's actually going to be used to make the printed calculation circuits using some Certus quartz, and that will start to make a bunch of that as well. The other one is going to be the logic processor, which takes some gold, so we'll place the gold in there. And the last one is the engineering press, which is going to take some diamonds. There we go. So we have all 4 of these circuits now. Let's just put one more inscriber down, exact same thing, but this one isn't going to be used for the presses. What we're going to actually do with this is grab a little bit of silicone out and grab a little bit of the logic circuits out. If we mix all of this with some redstone, you'll see that this starts to make the finished processors. There we go. Our first logic processor has been made. We need, I guess, 36 of these total, which shouldn't be too hard at all. Do these auto grab from adjacent inventories as well? I can pipe in using, like, you know, a hopper. I mean, that's not going to be too hard. All you need to do is add a couple hoppers on top of these. This is just obviously very temporary automation because we are going to want these in bulk anyway. I'm going to make one more inscriber just to speed this up a little bit. I want to make some acceleration cards to speed this whole thing up. So we're going to want to make some calculation processors. So let's grab this. Let's grab our silicone, redstone, and we'll throw all this inside here. But what we can do is take some of these calculation processors and turn them directly into acceleration cards. Well, first we got to turn them into the advanced cards and then turn them into acceleration cards. I've sped up all these with acceleration cards now, so now you'll see this is absolutely cooking. So we basically have everything we need for the quantum ring here. All we have to do is craft up a little bit more of this quartz glass, which just takes some normal glass and Certus quartz. We have to get some of the Fluix dust. We place the Fluix right in here. It should just convert automatically into the dust. You can also send it through the crusher, like the mechanism crusher, which is going to be way faster. So doing it this way is going to be better for automation in the future. But for now, we'll grab a little bit of this because we don't need a ton.
I really like these so far. I think I'm gonna like applied energistics. It looks like fun. I'm already having fun.
And besides all this, we also need to have the dense Fluix cable. So we'll get more into the channels and stuff with applied energistics in the next few episodes or so. But for now, the Fluix dense cable is just a cable that carries more channels than the normal ones. So we have to make a couple of these smart dense cables. But to make the normal cables, we have to first get some Fluix and quartz fiber. Quartz fiber very easily is just, again, more Certus quartz and more glass. It's actually getting me to use the black stained glass because we've made so much for the the build.
For the build, go check it out. Go check it out. Go check it out.
We can basically craft up all of the glass cable that we need. Let's craft up our last couple. So there we go. We have all of the dense cable that we need for this craft. We'll grab the last few of the Fluix dust out of here. Our last energy cell. There we go. If we grab our logic processors out of here. All right. So if we come in here and grab our engineering processor, throw it in, we should be able to craft up all of the ME quantum rings that we need. 18 exactly. Perfect. We have everything we need to craft up the pulsating black hole. So there's 16 Mjolnir in here. We need 18. I gotta grab some from you, buddy. I'm sorry.
No!
It's at 4.9 bar, so we're all good. We should be able to put in one of every single item here. And if everything was done correctly, a black hole should come out the other side. Is that it? Huh? Did it do it? It did it. I think.
It did it?
It did it.
Yes!
We have it. We're the masters of space.
Now we get to do that 17 more times.
So while we're crafting up all of the pulsating black holes, there is a couple more things that we need. Mainly, we need one more thing from applied energistics for this, which is going to be the singularity. The singularity can be made inside of the matter condenser using any input of items or fluid, and also has to have a storage component in here in order for it to make it. Hopefully we can craft up a 64K storage component. This shouldn't be too hard. All we need to have is some of these calculation processors and also the logic ones, but we have plenty of this stuff. 27 should be all we need of the 1Ks. 9 of those, 3 of those, and then 1 64K. Now we have to craft up a matter condenser, which should be also very cheap. And let's place this down somewhere like this. Now it might actually be a cool idea to have multiples of these running. So we might actually just set up a couple side by side like this, which means we're going to have to get a couple more of the storage components, but we can look at that after. To start off, let's place in a storage component up here, and we're going to want to change this to condense into singularities. It takes 256,000 items per singularity that you have to pump into this condenser, which sounds like a ton. Until you realize that you can actually pump fluids into this as well, and the sink is just an infinite water source. Our best friend Integrated Dynamics is here to save the day once again.
You're plugging the video real hard here, aren't you? Also, like and subscribe. Why not? And talk to me in the comments. I like talking in comments. It's fun.
All you really have to do is put a bunch of these interfaces all over the condenser. And then we have to hook all of these up with some cable. Now we can put a variable card in import all fluids. And then if we come into the settings here, change this to round robin. And then we can also change the fluid transfer rate to something insanely fast. If we place now our storage component in here, look at how much faster this is going up now. And yeah, I'm not sure if adding more of these importers really helps. I don't think it actually does, but just in the interest of trying it out, I'll throw in a couple more. Actually, I think that is faster. You know what?
Nice.
We're gonna add another one. Now, I actually might want to break this front one just so I can extract the singularities out of here. So we already have 2 singularities.
That's incredibly fast. We did it!
That was the last thing we needed for the Nexium emitter. We also have everything we need to craft up the dimensional seed. Come in here and take a look. The dimensional seed is craftable. I just crafted 18 of them, Grace.
Oh. So fast.
I'm missing the quest.
How did we not have the quest for that? We didn't hold the end portal.
Or any of the compressed blocks.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
That's a problem. All right, so we can also craft up the Nexium emitter now. So everything else we have pretty much all set. I think we actually have the end exchanger already crafted up. Yeah, we have 18 of them already done. The only thing that we're missing is the gravitational unit, which we have on AutoCraft, and that should be pretty easy. We need a couple more of the module bases. HDPE sheets, that's no problem. And then finally, we can craft up 18 of our gravitational modulating units. That is a lot of antimatter, but we have plenty. Now those will take a long time actually, because they require 2 ultimate induction providers each, which is gonna take a long time to craft. So we're probably gonna have to cut and come back for that craft. Our singularities should be definitely done already. If we come over to Greg Tech area, here we have, yeah, 30 singularities. So those are gonna go in storage and we're all set. So while we're waiting for a couple of these other parts to craft up, I'll just go ahead and finish up all of these black holes, and then hopefully we can come back and craft up the last remaining few parts before we have virtually every single unique item for the star done, which is crazy. I can't believe we're here.
It's taken a while, but we did get here.
I mean, what? My time played can't be that much.
Oh my god. I don't even know where to look. I know mine's bad.
Gravitational units just finished crafting, so now we should be able to, if we come in here and put everything in, we can craft up all of the Nexium emitters. We're 1 short on something. Oh, 1 more railgun. There we go. There we go. 18.
We did it! Wait, why didn't we get the quest?
It's missing.
We didn't hold the gravity unit. We didn't hold it, or the gravity module.
No, I can make 1 more.
You can't be slipping like that.
Well, anyway, in the meanwhile, we're also 1 away from the final black hole as well. So here is the last one here being crafted up, and then we're done all 18 of these as well. Make sure we're holding everything we need for this, but I think we're good. The only thing left to do now is the Patrick star. We have to get some of these awakened alloys and the alloys here, but these are really easy to do on AutoCraft, and also setting up all of the mechanical crafters. But that is probably what we're going to be doing in the next episode, and I foresee us completing the All the Mods star and even getting the Starry Bee in the next episode. But I think that's where we're going to call it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I really hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what your favorite part of the series has been up to this point. It's been quite a journey. Also, if you haven't already, join the Discord. The link is in the description down below, and come say hi. But that's it for me, everybody. I hope you all have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next, and potentially the episode where we craft the All the Mod star. We'll see you then. Bye.